Take a look at this. Return to Dark Tower. I'm Tom Scioli, author of Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics. I Am Stan, a graphic biography of the legendary Stan Lee, and Jack Kirby's Star Warriors, The Adventures of Adam Star and the Solar Legion. I'm also the author of WITCHMAN, a new superhero comic book, which is in the middle of a Kickstarter campaign. We've reached our initial funding goal, but if you would like to be part of this campaign, follow the link in the show notes below. So yeah, Return to Dark Tower. This was a Kickstarter campaign also, and it was a new reimagining of the classic Dark Tower board game, a board game that I am very fond of. It's one of my prized possessions. Unfortunately, the electronic component of my Dark Tower game no longer works, which means you can't really play the game, but keep it anyway out of a sentimental attachment. The first time I saw, couldn't believe my eyes. It just looked like a dream come true, this sort of board game and video game hybrid. And I'd seen the commercials with Orson Welles, and I just, always wanted my own copy of it. And eventually, at a garage sale, I got one for, I think, $1. I heard about the Kickstarter, and it looked interesting, but I sort of, just sort of watched it come and go. But then I was at the game store, and I saw this sitting there, and I took a real good look at it, and then I left. And then I thought about it and came back the next day and picked this up. So I can't wait to open it up. Before I do, let's look at the back. The sides look pretty cool. It's sort of like the two halves, the good and evil, and you have this sort of Lord of the Rings elvish style rendering of organic forms, and then you have this like very rigid, these rigid sort of lightning bolts, almost like alien script. Lovecraftian script with skulls and whatnot for sort of, the land of Mordor, which, like most sort of fantasy products of its era, Dark Tower didn't take place in Middle-earth, but that was definitely, the reference. Are you ready to take on the tower? An ancient evil has awakened from within these ebon walls, plunging the four kingdoms into death and despair. Raise a mighty host of warriors, wield powerful treasures, and rally companions to fight back against the darkness. It's heavy, and when I turn it, you can feel a lot of things moving around in there. I've paid less for heavier games. I'm thinking of Gloomhaven, which was probably the most expensive game I'd ever purchased prior to this, but still reigns as the heaviest. Looks like this bottom piece slides off. Looking at this art, really beautiful artwork, and on an initial look, I thought this was, these sort of the Nazgul. I thought this was just, an area of black here, but it's actually, there's a very faint skull that you can sort of make out there. Just, really nice attention to detail. Yeah, here's all the little pop-out pieces. Oh, look at these miniatures. The case, really great attention to detail here. The case that's holding them is kind of a beautiful object in itself. Take some of these out. These little platforms here. Really like the figures. I like that they're not painted, but they have this sort of like wash over them. Give them this, they're plastic, but to give them this sort of faux like metal or marble material. And these are the skulls. From what I understand, the Dark Tower like spits skulls out of it at random intervals. I like a nice set of custom dice. These look really cool. Looking forward to figuring out what all of this stuff means. Again, look at this attention to detail. Return to Dark Tower, this Art Deco kind of impression here, and some, runic tribal patterns. Just in the sort of packaging. And yeah, here's the centerpiece, the star of the show. This is the tower. Very cool looking. And yeah, looks a lot like what you'd see in the Lord of the Rings movie. You just need like a little floating, glowing eye up there. Really cool. And again, I know a minimal amount about this new reimagined Dark Tower. It's got a real heft. It feels maybe a little bit heavier than the original. I guess this is where the batteries go. The original one takes like 4D batteries, so it's kind of a beast and not easy to maintain. This looks super interesting. Some, the cards that go with the game. Anything underneath here? Any hidden surprises? Okay, this is the world map. This is a real important part of the game. So yeah, here's the game board. The tower goes right here in the middle. The original game was really fun. You'd go into, you'd like attack castles. You'd go into ruins and crypts. You'd go to villages where you could, purchase items. And then you'd have to cross the frontier. You'd press the frontier button to let it know that you're moving into the next region as you sort of make your way around the map and towards the tower. So let's just see what some of these guys look like in the context of the game. Yeah, the amount, this tower is very impressive. The amount of stuff it comes with is pretty minimal. Again, like thinking of Gloomhaven or whatever, like with all the amazing miniatures and little surprise boxes Gloomhaven comes with. But this is the expense right here, the tower. So I'll have to play a few rounds of this and report back. I'm Tom Scioli, author of Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics. I Am Stan, a graphic biography of the legendary Stan Lee, and Jack Kirby's Star Warriors, The Adventures of Adam Starr and the Solar Legion. I'm also the creator of WITCHMAN, a new superhero comic book, which is in the middle of a Kickstarter campaign. We've reached our initial funding goal, but there's still time to be part of this campaign. To find out more, follow the link in the show notes below.